Well, taking a quick stock of how markets have done over the last day or so and looking at what could be the big news which could move markets this week. Well, US indices on markets were closed on Monday, Martin Luther King Day, and that meant that we look at stock futures. Well, futures are pretty much flat. The Dow futures is up around 10 basis points, S&P 500 absolutely flat, just up 2 basis points, and the Nasdaq futures up around down around 15 basis points in early trade today. When we look at what could be key announcements or movers across this week, well, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Bank of America are expected to announce their earnings. We did see a bit of wage pressure in the earnings which were released for the banking pack late last week, and that may still continue to concern the Fed. Of course, that wage inflation is here to stay. They don't want it to get entrenched, and that may lead to some amount of policy moves from the Fed earlier than expected. Also, Netflix is expected to announce its earnings later this week. The other key announcement is going to be on initial jobless claims, which is expected to come in on the 20th of January. This is for US again. Moving on to Europe, well, UK CPI inflation numbers are expected to come in tomorrow. Among other data, of course, Chinese data have helped European markets rise. So China grew at 8.1% in 2021, where the market expected it to grow at 8.4%. And the quarter 4 calendar year 21 saw GDP rise 4%. Now, this was better than anticipated. Reuters poll anticipated that at 3.6%. So broadly, better set of numbers with regard to Q4 of calendar year 21, which is quarter ended December. That led the DAX higher, a third of a percent, the FTSE up almost 1%, the CAC also up almost 4/5%, and the Stock 600 up 3/4% in trade yesterday to start off the week. Bank of Japan has announced its monetary policy, and in that it's maintained its policy rate at minus 0.1% and sees inflation slightly higher. In fact, quite a steep rise in inflation expectations by the Bank of Japan. It was earlier 0.9%. They've hiked it by 20 basis points, 1.1% inflation expected in FY22 by the Bank of Japan. Well, looking at how Asian markets are responding to that, because that news has just come in. The Nikkei is up around 0.8% in trade. The Shanghai is also higher. In fact, pretty much all indices in the green other than the Kospi. So the Hang Seng up almost 0.5%. The ASX 200 is absolutely flat but still in the green, and the Kospi is down around 1/4% in trade today. When we look at commodities, oil is in focus. Oil prices continue to edge higher, largely driven by a tighter supply and of course a limited Omicron impact. That was what was really keeping oil prices on edge, and that has kind of continued to accelerate now in terms of oil prices. Oil is now at 84.25 US dollars a barrel, and Brent is now at a 7-year high, the highest prices since 2014 for Brent futures. When we look at Goldman Sachs has taken out a report on oil as well. It's given a target price of $105 for oil by 2023. We did hear Ray Dalio talk about oil as well, saying that a faster than expected shift in energy consumption or focus on renewables and lack of funding for the conventional fuel will lead to some amount of supply constraint and will lead to higher prices and will push inflation higher as well. Gold is pretty much flat. It's at $1820 an ounce. The dollar index is flat as well, just above that 95 mark in early trade today. Bond yields climb. They're well north of the 1.8% now. Of course, hawkish comments from Fed not helping. Banking results stating that there is wage inflation in the system, that not helping either. The US 10-year Treasury yields now are at 1.825%. Now they are up almost over 30 basis points, almost 32 basis points plus higher since the start of 2022. So 2 weeks in, Bitcoin is trading lower and is just above that $42,000 mark. That's a roundup of what's happening in global markets in early trade today.